Welcome to Inspirational Journeys, everyone. My name is Ann Harrison, and today I'm going to talk to you about step 6 of the Snowflake method, which I was trying to do last week, but it didn't actually turn out right. I was actually working on step 5 last week, which we're going to go over. I'm going to do an overview of each of the steps before I get to the one that we're going to work on today. But first, let me encourage you to like the videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel for those of you watching, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And when you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. And also, if you're listening to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to, please rate it and write a review, because that helps more people find me and find the show. So, without further ado, let's get started. Overview. First of all, your pre-planning questions. What is your category or genre? What kind of story do you want to write? And why would your audience like this story? Those are 3 questions you need to ask yourself. Write those down in a journal somewhere. And, if you have a journal for your novel, or if you have a junk journal like I do, or just a various journal, you can pin those down in your notebook. Or if you have like a file folder, you want to put those in, that's cool. Okay. So after you've done that, step 1 is your 1-sentence summary. Step 2 is your 1-paragraph summary. Step 3 is your character summaries for each of your primary characters. You do 1 sheet for each one. Step 4 is your 1-page synopsis. Step 5 is your character synopsis, which is your character's backstory and reiterating their role in the story. And each character has their own story, remember that. So step 6 is your 4-page synopsis. Now, it's really, the way I'm going to explain it, it's really pretty simple, okay? So all you're doing is taking your 1-page synopsis, take each paragraph of your 1-page synopsis, depending on how many paragraphs you have, you do 4 to 5 pages, and add in more details for each of your 3-act story structure. Your first disaster, which is the inciting incident, and depending on which method you've studied before, which is the end of the first act, after introducing your main character or characters and your setting and everything. And then the first half of your second act, which is the second disaster. You can add more details leading up to that disaster. You can add more little suspenseful information pieces that are there, or build up to that. And then the second half of the second act, which is the third disaster, which is basically what I call the dark night of the soul, because I've also looked at 3-act story structure before. That's why I call it that, where all hope is gone for your main character or characters. And then the third act, where you have the climax, which is your confrontation with your villain, and the ending, whether it's sweet, sad, or bittersweet endings. And you want to add in you don't have to add the entire story, but you want to add more details to kind of help you figure out where your story is going. Now, this will not be shown to anybody. This is your synopsis. This is your expanded synopsis to kind of help you get a feel for what the story is really truly about, and to help you put together the ideas that you have. Now, if you're writing a first draft, it might be a little harder to come up with this information. But if you've already got a draft that you're editing that you're restructuring and editing like I do, then you can actually do this. I'm actually editing and restructuring the body in the Dorm Advisor's office now. I've kind of started step 8 and circled back to step 7 just a little bit, because I had a couple of characters that showed themselves to be more prominent in the story than I thought. So that's one of the things that I would really encourage you to do. And it's okay to circle back. Let's say you working on step 3. You're getting your character summaries. Okay, let me give you an example. Then you go back and work on step 4 or step 5, and you realize you've got another character that plays a more prominent role than you thought. Or even if you're in the later steps, which we'll talk about in the next couple weeks, it's okay to circle back. And it's okay to condense each of these steps into a simpler process for you, depending on what you know, how you want to do it, which I may actually end up doing, so that because I can see some of it's a repeat and some of it's not. But we'll talk about that at the end, and I'll give you some tips and tricks as to what you can, as to how you can do that. So I'll give you those tips and tricks later on. But first, let's get through each of the steps, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So this week it's step 6. I'm going to upload step 7 next week. It will be Christmas week, I know, but it would still give you some time and information as to how you can keep going. And now that we're done with plot, we will continue with characters. So I hope you guys have a blessed day. Remember to read to get inspired, write something inspiring, and share your creation with the world. For when you've touched one life, you've touched thousands. Also watch on my YouTube channel, or I'm going to start reading poetry on my YouTube. I will do some on the podcast, but most of it's going to be on the YouTube channel to kind of help, you know, get more content out there for those of you watching, so that you can be updated and you can see fresh new content. So like I said, do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a new video. And subscribe to the podcast so it automatically downloads to your feed. Okay? I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Have a very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous 2021. Blessings to each and every one of you. For those of you writing out there, you writers, happy writing. For those of you fans and readers, happy reading, and God bless. Take care now. Talk to you again next week.